Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wap Koute M. Today's episode is a very special one for me because not only it is my first video episode, but I'm also joined by someone I deeply respect. We are going to have an important conversation about healing in the Black community, healing in the Haitian community, cultural barriers, generational patterns, and what it really takes to move toward awareness. So today, I'm honored to welcome my cousin, Dr. Gaetane Saint-Victor, whose research focuses on why healing can be particularly difficult for Black people and culturally specific communities like Haitians in this country. Thank you so much for being here. To begin, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what led you to focus your research on healing in the Black community?
Yes, of course. First, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much, Oili, for having me here. It is such an honor. I am so honored to be here with you today with my cousin, two mental health professionals to have this discussion.
Yes.
It is such an honor, so amazing. And I thank God for it. The first thing that I'm going to say, your first question to tell a little bit about myself. I have a PhD in social work, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker, qualified supervisor. I have been a social worker since 2011, so
Mm,
many years. Um, I am a school social worker. I am an adjunct professor in social work, and I also have my private practice. So my research, when I was earning my doctoral degree, is in self compassion and resilience in Black women.
mm,
So, what led me to this research? Basically, it was back in 2020. There was so many things going on, and Black women are always there. Black women are. I have here for you. I have your back.
mm-hmm,
Then I started to wonder, was there for us? Was God our back?
mm,
And I was reading so much on the topic. And then I remember there was the slogan and really going on the Say Her Name movement.
mm,
And that led me to research more about it. And then
mm-hmm.
that's how I came to this topic.
Awesome, awesome. I like especially when you said who is there for us. I think it's something that is very um that a lot of women also experience, that sometimes that's why they don't seek help, because they don't feel like they are represented or they are seen, right,
Hmm.
by the professional, just because there's not too much out there for Black women, for us, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, what did you discover from your research? What are some of the
Hmm.
biggest barriers preventing people from seeking healing or recognizing that they need it?
Um, Before I get into that, I must say that one of the core concepts in my dissertation is a strong Black woman archetype.
Mm,
Um, and telling you about the strong Black woman archetype will help me answer this question. So, as we're
awesome.
talking about Black women and Haitians, and also I find out in my culture. So, it's really part research and part what I know is how I'm going to answer this question, part experience, so to say, lived experience. So, basically, in the strong Black woman archetype, we learn to be strong, right? And we learn to stay resilient. Everything that we're doing, we stay rooted in our resilience, in our strength. So many times when we are being so strong, we don't always allow ourselves to be vulnerable, right? To allow ourselves to, okay, let me take a break. Let me take a moment just for me. We're just going and going and going. So, because of that, sometimes because we embody the strong Black woman archetype so much, we don't let others see when we actually are, faltering, right? When we need
Mhm.
help, because we have to uphold that archetype. We have to uphold, I'm the strong Black woman. So as a result of
Mhm.
that, sometimes you need it and you're not going to seek the help.
Mhm.
Thus,
So
sometimes why
true.
walking depression.
Yes,
Please.
so true. And this strong archetype that you talk about is one of the reason why I also started to create a circle place, especially for Haitian, like I within, to just understand how much of the we embody this archetype, because it
Mm-hmm.
was just, what kept generation prior to that alive, right? It was more about
Mm-hmm.
survival, right? This generation had to survive and they had to be strong, because if they let go of things, then everything falls
Mm-hmm.
apart. In one of the like I within I had recently, one of my friends suggested how Haiti is always portrayed as a woman. Like, and I didn't realize that until she said it.
Mm.
Haiti, when we talk about Haiti, is like she. We talk about Haiti as a woman. And I think it's
Mm.
just like she put it, it's the same idea that Haiti is strong as a country itself. It's just a name, because we relate how we expect women to be strong all the time, right? When we talk about from Haïtien, c'est pour mi-temps, we are the
From
pillar
Voyant.
from Vanya,
Mm-hmm.
all of that, where it sounds like it's positive, but also it doesn't leave room for us to just let things go and be and rest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
deep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So very profound. Yeah.
Yeah. So, which is one of the barriers. I see that. I can see that a lot of women are walking around, right? Like you said, functioning
Mm.
depression, right? It's like we gotta keep going, we gotta keep going. But the thing is, after a
Yes.
while, the body's gonna weaken, because the body's not designed to keep going like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how where do you think here strictly it comes from?
Mm-hmm.
The strong archetype.
The strong Black woman archetype basically comes from the past. When I
Mhm.
say the past, from our history,
Mhm.
from the time of slavery, right?
Mhm.
When Black women learned to be strong, where
Mm.
Black women took care of the home, they were mammies, they were taking care of everybody and still taking care of their
Mhm.
own. So that's where it originated from, right? The strong Black
Mhm.
woman
Mhm.
archetype.
Yeah, where they have to be present or be strong all the time, like you said. Yeah, and over the time, generation and generation, it got passed down. One thing, also the body does is like what makes a generation survive. It's gonna carry on. Not only it modifies the gene, because then to be strong, it's like the one that were able to be strong and stay strong were the one that survived. So that was a signal
Mhm.
that the body, the nervous system captured, and then was like, okay, this gene is needed in this environment, and it keeps reproducing it, right? And then it gets passed down not only by the gene but also by the patterns that we create to say this
Mhm.
is what you need to do, right?
Correct. So it's like it's
Yeah.
instilled in us from the moment that we are little girls growing up,
Mhm.
continuously
Mhm.
gets passed down.
Yeah. Yeah. Men in our communities are often thought
Mm.
emotions are weakness. How does that affect healing?
It affects healing because honestly, when you suppress your emotions, and that is just something that we know as mental health professionals, when you suppress it, it's like you bottle it, you file it. It's there, it's not gone, it's still there. So
Mhm.
you may exhibit certain behaviors that
Mhm.
you are not really being aware to the cause of it, and you're like, why is this person acting this way, or why am I acting this way, or why is this a trigger to me? But it's
Mhm.
because you had that emotion that you suppressed, that you never worked on, or you never allowed yourself to fully get through, right? It's okay to cry. It's okay to talk
Mhm.
about your emotions. It's okay to express it, because that is how you can move forward positively without having those
Mhm.
triggers. Or when you have those triggers, to be able to recognize, this is the cause of it. This is why I'm behaving this way. This is why this hurts me. Although this has nothing to do with that, but that is something that was never worked on, and therefore it is showing up in other areas of my life as such. So because
Mhm.
men in our culture are always thought, oh, c'est petit garçon, yes, be
Mhm.
strong, don't cry, um it's suppressed.
Mhm.
So in the
Mhm.
future, when it hinders their healing, honestly,
Mhm.
basically,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah, yeah. Awareness, right? When you don't know what's underneath, then it keeps showing up in
Hmm.
ways that you can't really recognize and then don't know what to do with. Yeah.
Yes,
One
correct.
thing we talk about that I think it's very important is to show how two people can go through the same thing, but then
Mm,
it shows up differently, right? How do you think
yes.
identity and past experiences shape trauma responses?
You know, as we're talking about the strong Black woman and being resilient, this is where resiliency comes into play. Because honestly, resiliency is so important. And
Mhm.
many times when we're going through one thing, we have to pull back from the past. When
Mhm.
I went through this, how did I handle it? How resilient
Mhm.
was I? What were my coping skills? So it's like pulling back from what you've previously
Mhm.
experienced to help you be strong, knowing that I already
Mhm.
went through this once. I can go through something which may be worse or easier,
Mhm.
depending. It's different for everybody, right?
Mhm.
So it depends on how well you can utilize your coping skills. That is going to
Mhm.
determine how you handle a situation versus another person was also going through that same experience.
Mhm. Mhm.
So our
Yes.
identity, that's what makes it different in how we experience hardship,
Mhm.
basically.
Mhm. Mhm. Do you think that resiliency is innate? Like some people have more, like naturally have more resilience than another?
That might have to be researched more, but again, it is the learned behavior, right?
Yeah.
When socialization and learning
Mhm.
the behavior, learning how do I handle this, how do I adapt to this, I think has a lot to do with it. Child rearing,
Mhm.
upbringing. Um, did my parents teach me to be resilient?
Mhm.
When I
Mhm.
wanted
Mhm.
something, although they were able to give it to me, did they give it to me right away? Or did they teach me I have to work hard for it, or I have to wait? If I fall, and did they come and be like, of course, be there for me, but did they allow
Mhm.
me to handle it with my friends all by myself without them
Mhm.
coming in
Mhm.
and trying to resolve it for me? All those
Yeah.
things help with resiliency in the future
Yes.
when parents are
Yeah.
not with you.
When we talk about nurture versus nature, right? When they both play a role, there is naturally
Hmm.
what's there, and then how it's either reinforce it or just totally it doesn't really help it, right? When nurture does
Yes.
something differently. Yeah, definitely. When we talk about Haitian living in the United States, right?
Hmm.
What have you seen when it comes to in the Haitian community, the Haitian that lives in the United States, how are they receptive or not to mental health?
Mm. Well, mental health is not something that we practice back at home as
Mm-hmm.
much as we do it here, right? Um, so I think the reason why Haitians are a bit skeptical to
Mm-hmm.
therapy or things like that, which may be the reason why they are resistant to it, is
Mhm.
because, again, speaking of the strong Black woman, right? I'm
Mhm.
going to be resilient. I'm going to handle what's happening with me without having to tell someone else I'm going through it. So it's the
Mhm.
same way Haitians are like, I'm going to be resilient and handle what I'm going through without me
Mhm.
going to therapy. Because the analogy I always say is when you go to therapy, it's just like going to the doctor, let's say the OBGYN, and you have to undress yourself, right? So they
Mhm.
can take care of you. So it's the same thing with going to therapy, just not
Mhm.
physically but emotionally and
Mhm.
mentally. And some people do not always want to go through that. And
Mhm.
especially in our culture, people don't really go through that. You know what I mean? I don't need anyone knowing what's going on deep within me. And they keep it hidden. So, that to me, I think, is the reason for the resistance to therapy in the
Yeah,
Haitian
and
culture.
I think I agree, and I think this bridge the gap, or actually opens to a whole different um concept, which
Mm-hmm.
is trust, right? How trust in our community. It's a very how do I say that? It's very complex, right? We trust, but then
Mm-hmm.
we don't trust, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes that gets in the way of wanting to seek help because we're not sure
Mm-hmm.
if the person on the other side is going to receive it right for us, or we haven't really experienced um given our pain or what we're going through to
Mm-hmm.
somebody else for them to be responsive
Mm-hmm.
in a safe way, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's also very important because the delivery of the message that that person is providing you may be like a bit judgmental sometimes. So,
Mhm.
which may be the
Mhm.
reason why some people don't trust others to be vulnerable with them and letting them know, hey, I'm going through this. And sometimes that's why they don't fully understand the concept of therapy, that in therapy, it's a judgment free zone. You come
Yes.
and we help you
Mhm.
heal, right? But also, one thing that I would say to others is when you have someone come to you, put your judgment aside, actually listen, put
Mhm.
your needing to respond aside, because sometimes the other person really truly needs is a listening ear for you to just listen, just say
Mhm.
yeah. You don't have to say
Mhm.
anything. People think sometimes they have to say something or they have to provide a solution. No.
Yes, they have to help and make it go away or make it better. Sometimes it's just a space, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Mhm.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's just a space that is needed just to hear somebody, another person to hear.
Yes.
How why is it important for therapists to have their own therapy?
Oh, it is very important because vicarious trauma, you know, leads to burnout.
Mhm.
And what, okay, vicarious trauma, what is that exactly? It is when you are taking on so much of what others are telling you, or someone is
Mhm.
experiencing something and you in turn come to experience it too. Oh, it's like secondhand trauma basically. So because of that, you have to go to therapy yourself as well so you can unpack all that you're receiving. And
Mhm.
as therapists, just because you're a therapist doesn't mean you're not human. And as humans, you do carry some trauma as well. So you may also need to work through those, right? To prevent transference from happening, all of that, to prevent triggers from happening, to help you know, okay, this population is a population that maybe I should go to therapy about first before I can
Mhm.
start seeing them. It's also awareness. And
Mhm.
honestly, because every therapist is a therapist, it just makes you better as a therapist. You can
Mhm.
be there more for your clients. As I always tell people, especially mothers and Black women, you
Mhm.
have to pour into yourself first. Because if you
Mhm.
cannot pour into you, if you have nothing, how can you pour into your kids? How can you pour into
Yes.
others? How can you pour into your job? So it's the same thing for the therapist needing a therapist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful. It, to me, I see it too as to like kind of like two ways. There's not only all that you just said, but also how representation it matters in the womb, but also being just from the same community, the same ethnicity, and the same race sometimes is not enough, only the the only thing to be enough, because quite frankly we can be from the same community and ethnicity, but I haven't healed from my own wounds from that community, and or don't understand it in depth, and I cannot help somebody that is trying to heal, right, and go through it,
Correct.
which is something that is not taught in school really, right. I had to experience it myself to say, from my own healing journey, to then look
Hmm.
at how I do therapy differently. It was like it's not like my previous therapy were not effective, my previous way of doing it, but I wasn't so connected to it as I was when I finally healed myself. It was
Hmm.
more like okay, this is more, it's deeper. It was deeper. It wasn't just, from sometimes, of course, we go to school, we have theories and all that, but sometimes you understand that person deeper by just doing your own healing, and it becomes a
Hmm.
deeper work than in just surface.
Yes, yes. Because as you said, there are cultures within cultures, right?
Mm.
So being culturally sensitive to all of that, though I'm Haitian, my upbringing may be different from another person who's also Haitian's upbringing, right? Their
Yes,
trajectory
yes.
in life, their trauma, all of that may be different. So, of course, there will be some similarities, which is why it's so important, as you stated, for
Mhm.
us to, go through our own healing to be able to be there for the other and truly understand, where they're coming from. At least try
Mhm.
to.
Yes. I love that your research doesn't just identify problems. It offers tools. Can you talk a little bit about the tools you created, the worksheets?
Um, Yeah, so I've created some worksheets for mental health professionals to work on with other Black women. I have not fully dispersed it to anyone
Okay,
yet, so
publish.
it's still
In the
with
book. Okay.
myself in the works, but it is there and it's coming. So I have basically, I the title of the dissertation is resiliency in Black women,
Mm,
removing the smiling mask, right? And in removing the smiling mask, which is what we call the walking depression and all of that, one thing I say is for us to add self-compassion
mhm.
to the strong Black woman archetype, not to do away with it, not to remove it, because it's good. There are a
Mhm.
lot of good
Mhm.
parts in being a strong Black woman, right? But to
Mhm. Mhm.
also add self compassion to it. And when we talk of self compassion, this is when we talk of what you mentioned earlier, having that person we can trust.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm. Mhm.
as Black women, to have that sisterhood
Mhm. Mhm.
was,
Ah.
it doesn't have to be big, it can be
Mhm.
small, but I trust my sisters. This is
Mhm.
where we're starting to call each other, hey sis, it's somebody I can truly go to. My sister doesn't have
Mhm.
to be someone who's biologically my sister, but someone who was my sister, who was there for me, who I can talk to, who I can remove the smiling mask with.
Mhm.
And so we can keep healing together and knowing, like what's been in vogue lately, living the soft life, being
Mhm.
soft, right? Allowing ourselves to focus on our self care and doing all of that.
Mhm.
All of that helps to the healing. So just really adding that. And I'm being compassionate to another, but am I being compassionate to myself? Because
Yes,
sometimes
that
we are
part.
so judgmental toward ourselves. We are so hard toward us, which makes the healing even harder, right?
Yes, yes. And that's something that shows up a lot. And what people don't understand, which is the hardest part in healing, it's when people realize that, wait a minute, this work it requires me to be patient with myself, to be compassionate. But when growing up or your whole life you have been harsh on yourself, hard, telling yourself like there's something wrong with you, or telling yourself that you're stupid, or why can't I get this right, or I'm missing something, or I'm not showing up how I'm not supposed to. And now you're being told that, hey, on the path you are on right now, you got to start showing yourself that compassion that you show to others. And it's not easy.
It's not, especially when we grow up to be perfectionists in a sense, right?
Woo,
Um,
that part,
it
right? We
it is
grow
something
up
that
to
I get
be
often
perfectionists. Yes.
from Black women, which aligns perfectly with being the strong Black woman, because I'm showing to others that I got it, I can handle it, I'm doing it,
Mhm.
I'm not
Mhm.
showing you my pain. So a lot of times when we say you see the glory but you don't know the struggle, and it's because we only show people the perfect side of us,
Hmm.
which again brings us back to being self-compassionate with yourself, which brings us back to what I said earlier, having your sisters whom you can trust and let them down truly see you,
Mhm.
so yeah.
Yes, that is so powerful culturally. And I can go back to my to our childhood, how, right, we were expected to have certain grades, and that's what was looked up to,
Hmm.
right? And we had
Yes.
to show it all the time and show up like this um all the time. And if you're not, then everybody's looking at you, everybody knows about it, right? It's a shame. And yes, the perfectionist is everywhere. It's within everywhere in our culture, right? And to the point that not only the pressure is put on the kid, because then you have the parents who doesn't want other parent to look at their kids' performance and start talking bad, because now it reflects on the parents, not on the kid, or
Absolutely.
vice
Hmm.
versa. Then you start getting more pressure, and then after school the pressure continue, because then it becomes about your
Hmm.
career, the career that they have to go and tell everybody, my kids is this, my kids is a doctor and this, or
Hmm.
even marriage and kids. And right, it's like you
Hmm.
never stop performing and just being you.
Correct.
Yeah.
So in being perfectionist, it's like at that point it sounds almost as though we've lost a part of ourselves, because we're so focused on being this representation, this model, this kid that's doing great in school because we want to
Mhm.
please our parents, right? Because if
Mhm.
we bring bad grades, it's bad. So now my question is, do we want to do great for ourselves? Were we really doing it for
Mhm.
ourselves, or were we doing it for our parents and their
Mm.
pride?
S- Yeah. And sometimes we don't even know what we want, because we are so lost into doing it for others, doing it for what people are gonna see. Like you said, showing up that way without showing the struggle behind it, that we are not in sync with what we want. And now we become lost, right? When that question is
Hmm.
is toward us. Yeah.
Which brings us back to healing. We have to heal through that to come
Yes.
back to ourselves and do what we truly love and want to do. And sometimes
Mhm.
fight, even for our profession, sometimes, because as you said, they see you, especially in the Haitian culture, you have to be this.
Mhm.
Professional, this type of professional, you have to go to school for this. And certain careers,
Mhm.
honestly, they're like, what is this? Why? So you really have to
Mhm.
fight for it. And then it's only after you fought for it and for it, and they said, okay, I respect you because I
Yes.
see what you're doing in the community. I see what you're doing for yourself. I
Mhm.
see that you had a purpose which you followed. And now I understand.
Yes. 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 For someone listening who recognizes themselves but doesn't know where to start, what would you want them to know?
The first thing to know is to understand for yourself that yes, I have some things that I have filed away, that I have suppressed. And those things are hindering me from moving forward. And I know what they are. And today I'm choosing to heal through that. Maybe you can find that one person whom you trust to talk to them, or taking the first step and finding a therapist to go through that.
Mm-hmm.
And believing in God is asking God to guide you, to help you. Okay, I've realized that I do need the healing. I do need to get through this. Please help me gather the strength to
Mm-hmm.
do what I need to do, to be less judgmental toward me, to accept that I went through this, to accept that it doesn't make me any less of a person,
Mm-hmm.
and to
Yes,
just be
self.
aware and, you know, to embrace yourself as who you are.
Yes,
Thank God for
self-love,
you are all the great things that
self-acceptance.
have happened. Yeah. And then starting on that therapeutical journey.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be separate, right? Asking God and healing, because I heard something the other day and I was like, "Oh, that person put it perfectly." Um a being in sync with your spirituality doesn't bypass how the body respond to things. And I think that's the
Mm,
bridge, that's the connection that in our community we do not fully grasp and understand, that yes, spiritually, we might be in sync, praying, we might do that regularly, routinely, but yet the
mm-hmm,
body might still be going through things, because the body has its own way of doing things and one cannot do it for the other, right? Bypassing
mm-hmm.
the body that God created, its way of working, it's not gonna get us much anywhere.
Exactly. And one thing I want to add to what you said, um, it's okay when going to therapy to do a consultation and asking the therapist, hey, I'm a believer of God and I want
Hmm.
to bring my belief, my spirituality into the sessions. That is perfectly fine, you know,
Yes, yes, it is
because
a
as you
great
said, we
tool.
have to be fully in sync with
Yes.
ourselves, with everything that we are, you know,
Mm-hmm.
not separating the mental from the spiritual, from the physical, but to actually putting it all together and letting it be in sync to move forward.
Yes, and so we can become whole again, right? The holistic approach.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. Is there one message you hope Black and Haitian communities take from your research? What would it be?
Um, I'll say it in one word. Self-love,
Mm, mm-hmm.
self-compassion.
That's a good
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
To elaborate more on it is, as we've been saying throughout this, it's to love you above,
Mm-hmm.
you know, love God and love you, and know
Mm-hmm.
that you are the first person that has to be there for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah.
And you can be there for everybody else, but you also need to pour into you, because as you mentioned earlier, our body can feel it when we have nothing else to give. So
Yes.
I have
Yes.
to
Yes.
know when I'm at capacity. I have to know when I need a break. I have to know when I need rest. It doesn't mean that I'm going to only rest. No, I'm going to get up and start over. But I have to know when I need a reset.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that comes from knowing yourself and loving yourself and being compassionate towards yourself.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Saint-Victor, for being here and sharing your wisdom with us, your research, and your heart. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This was amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, this was a powerful conversation, and I know so many people listening will find value, will feel seen and heard, and hopefully can start their healing journey. Because
Yes,
I know you and me, we believe that healing is possible, healing
it
is
is
deserved, and
so
healing
deserved.
begins with awareness.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you
absolutely.
for joining me. And to everyone
Thank you.
listening, thank you for spending this time with us. If this episode resonated, please share it with someone and subscribe. And if you are looking for a place, for a supporting place to connect, to reconnect and heal, I would love to invite you to Lakai Within, and our next gathering will be on June 9th. Thank you for listening to Wap Koute M.